Hello guys, we are still proceeding with our topic, which is theory of money, in our subtopic, that is inflation. Now let's look the types of inflation. This type of inflation is divided into two parts, which is type of inflation according to inflation rate and the type of inflation according to the causes. Now let's look this type of inflation according to inflation rate. Firstly, we have creeping inflation. This creeping inflation occurs when the price level rises between 2% to 3%. This type of inflation is not harmful to the economy. It means that when it occurs, people and other peoples who engage in entrepreneurship cannot stop their business because it's not harmful to the economy, so it cannot lead to the failure or decline in their production. Now the second type of inflation according to inflation rate is moderate inflation. This moderate inflation occurs when the price level increases between 4% to 5%. So also this type of inflation is not harmful to the economy. Also when it occurs, does not discourage people from engaging in production of different things, commodities, services, and so on. So the third type of inflation in this according to inflation rate is rapid inflation. This rapid inflation occurs when the inflation rate rises to 6%. So this is harmful to the economy, and when it occurs, it tries to discourage people to engage in production as they expect maybe to get loss from what they are producing in the economy. Now here we have the fourth type of inflation according to inflation rate is hyperinflation. Now this hyperinflation is the type of inflation by which the price level rises day to day. As day going on, also the inflation is just going proceeds to rise. So this type of inflation leads to the loss of confidence of the people and other companies which are producing maybe certain goods and services, because when inflation is just taking place, so it discourages producers, because when the price of commodities and services will be high, now people will reduce the demand of such kind of goods and services because of the price. So this leads to the loss of confidence to both producers, either people, private companies, and also the government. Now let's look this type of inflation in second part, which is according to the causes. We have cost push inflation. This cost push inflation is a type of inflation which is led by the increase of the cost of production. For example, maybe one has got 1 hectare of bananas, so always he do put people to cultivate that bananas, maybe by paying them 20,000 shillings. But during inflation, those laborers will need a higher price, maybe 5,000 per hour. So it means that the whole farm will cost maybe 100,000, which is not normal. So now this cost push inflation is being led in such situation. Also we have demand pull inflation. Demand pull inflation is a type of inflation which is led by the excess demand of goods and services in the economy. When you find that the demand is higher than the supply of something, it will lead to the scarcity of such kind of commodity and services. So because a commodity is scarce and the demanders or people who want to get it are many than the available commodities or services, it means that the price will be high. So by doing so, now we shall have inflation of such goods and commodities. Also, we have structural change or shift inflation. Now, this is structural change or shift inflation. This comprises both cost push inflation and demand pull inflation at once. So, let's proceed with another is imported inflation. This imported inflation occurs when there is the existence of this cost push inflation in the country. It means that people will fear to produce goods and services due to the high prices, maybe of purchasing inputs to be used in production. So they will find that the goods and the commodities from outside the country are of cheap prices than which is available in the country. So by doing so, the export now will be less than import. So when the imported goods and services will be more in a country than export, is where now we get imported inflation. Now another is monetary inflation. Monetary inflation is the type of inflation which is led by the monetary supply in the economy. So when there is high or larger quantity of money supply in the economy than the demand of money in the economy, it means that inflation will be high, because if there is much money in the economy, it means that goods and services will be bought or sold at high price than normal, because someone maybe has got a lot of money and wants to purchase something. So if there is a next person wants to purchase the same commodity or services, those two buyers will try to fight to get such kind of commodity. So it will lead to the rise of price of such commodity, hence inflation. Also, we have expectation inflation. This expectation inflation is a type of inflation which occurs where people or buyers, they can find that the price of something is high, but they can't stop buying it because maybe they expect the higher price as day goes on. Maybe they expect the price of one banana today in Mtwara is 500, but maybe tomorrow will be 1,000. So I must purchase it now, even if the price is high. So it means that people has got no confidence on the expectations of the price of the commodity or services of today and the coming day. Now here let's look another part, which is causes of inflation. First, we have rise in the cost of production. If the cost of production is high, now the commodity or services which will be produced must be sold at a higher price. Hence, this leads to inflation in the economy, because you can't sell a commodity at a price where yourself you find that it will be lost because you have used a lot of money to produce it. Secondly, we have excessive demand for goods and services. Now, if there is excessive demand of goods and services, it means that when the supply is not equal to the demand, it means the available commodities and the services will be highly demanded than how is supplied. So the owners or the people who hold those goods and services will realize the price. Hence now, by doing so, we shall lead to the inflation in the economy. And we have seen it now, the type of inflation. We have demand pull inflation. So demand pull inflation comes from this excessive demand for goods and services. Is where we get demand pull inflation. Now next we have calamities, for example flood, drought. As we know that when calamities occurs in the community, maybe they have got farms, they have crops is there. So when floods or drought occurs, now all those will be destroyed. Now they have to buy from somewhere else. Hence they can get them into high place. So now this situation will lead to the inflation. Also we have illegal activities. Illegal activities is where now people are doing maybe transactions or business which are not allowed by the government. So if they produce goods and services, they must sell them to a high price, because there must be few people who are conducting such type of business. For example, maybe selling what this we call cocaine and other things. So there are few people who are conducting such kind of activities, hence leads to inflation in the economy. Also we have a shortage of goods and services. If we have a shortage of goods and services, it means that there is a lower supply of things in the economy. If there is a lower supply, it means that the wants of people will not match with the supply of goods and services which are needed to be used by the people. So in such situation, it means that there will be a competition between consumers of such commodity or services. So by competing to get the same commodity and services, it means that the owners or the sellers will realize the price. Hence now we get what? Inflation. Also we have rise in indirect taxes. Indirect taxes is a type of tax which is combined in or is put by the government to the commodity. And always this lies in indirect tax, the burden of paying this indirect tax will go directly to the final consumer, the one who purchased maybe a pen in a shop, the one who purchased maybe an exercise in a shop, because the retailers or wholesaler traders will purchase the commodity according to the price how they have bought. So when maybe a seller has bought a pen by 100 and the government put maybe 2% of tax on that commodity, so the seller must increase. He or she will sell such pen in 200. So the burden of this indirect tax will be to the final consumer, but this will lead to the inflation. So if the indirect tax has been reduced by the government, even the price of those goods will be lower, because the retailers and the wholesalers will sell according to how they feel they can get a profit. Also we have increased government expenditure. Government expenditure can lead to inflation because they can engage in a certain business in the country, but maybe they expect to get some amount of money from abroad, which can be given by maybe certain conditions which must be made by the government in a particular time. So this can lead to inflation as there are other activities which maybe the government could make in their country. They decide now maybe to make privatization to private sectors and companies, where those companies or private sectors can make or can provide goods and services in the country at the price they wish. So through making so, we can lead what? Inflation in the economy. So after looking this, what types of inflation, causes of inflation, now I can leave a question to be discussed, which is discuss the positive and the negative effects of inflation in the economy.
purchase your tracks today.